London. Established by the Romans in 43 AD, then burned to the ground 18 years later, only to be rebuilt and flattened time and time again throughout the following 19 centuries. Now a thriving modern metropolis, this enduring ancient capital's history is as rich and textured as the waters of the River Thames during the Great Stink of 1858.
For centuries, the idea of British cuisine got people just about as enthused as the royal family would be, talking about the abolition of the monarchy. And though a pantheon of celebrity chefs has catapulted British food into the gaping mouths of post-millennial diners, one particular local culinary creation has stood the test of time, and that's London Dry Gin. And since it's just before lunchtime, I'm going to be joining my mate Liz here in her daily constitutional aperitif. But before we do that, let's go and check in with some of the people in old London town who are keeping the spirit alive.
In search of free cocktails, I stumbled off to Merchant House where Nate and Lewis, who run a thoroughly enjoyable yet curiously hard to remember gin appreciation class, poured me a Navy strength martini and explained what makes a London Dry a London Dry.
It's an important legal definition that basically says you can't add anything after distillation other than water or neutral alcohol.
Does it have to be made in London?
No, there's an awful lot of things that London Dry Gin doesn't mean. It doesn't have to be made in London, so actually we've got a London Dry Gin in front of us.
From Australia?
From Australia.
Right. And does it have to be dry? Could it be sweet?
It could, in theory, be a little bit sweet. You can add a very minuscule amount of sugar, legally speaking, but you can't add anything that's going to sweeten it, per se. So if we hark back to the days of the first legislation, people would be adding a sweetener such as sugar to gin in order to mask the bad flavours if it was poorly made.
And it came from a time in the city of London where everyone was drunk as skunks. The average consumption...
What was that called? Was the gin...
The gin craze.
The gin craze.
The gin craze. And people were also referred to it as like mother's ruin and stuff.
Yeah.
And really what was going on in London at the time...
It was an epidemic.
It was a problem. We had a problem in the city of London. The average consumption per person per day was a pint of gin.
Right.
Okay.
Has that changed much?
In the city of London, no.
But outside the square miles.
Yeah, but we take our time to drink that pint of gin.
Right.
Yeah, we start at breakfast.
A little in coffee and then throughout the day. Exactly. In your tea, sorry. So there we have it. Gin and London, totally inseparable, like the royal family and a good wholesome sex scandal. Speaking of the royals, as promised, we're now going to make the Queen's favourite cocktail, as it is just before lunchtime. So I've invited one of her loyal subjects, Luke, to help me out. So let's get started with this cocktail, shall we? 2 parts gin and 1 part Dubonnet, which is a French wine-based liqueur, I think. Is it liqueur? What does it say on it?
Aperitif.
Aperitif. It's a wine-based aperitif. That's it. Cheers.
Your health, good sir.
Your health. It's interesting. It's a bit bitter, isn't it?
Yeah, it wouldn't be my first choice of gin cocktail.
No, and certainly not every day at 11.
No. But she is stoic, Her Majesty.
She is. It's a bit like a Negroni, but because of the Dubonnet, which is a wine aperitif, it's a bit winier, really. But, yeah. A winey Negroni. To be honest, it was a pretty horrid cocktail. I just didn't want to admit to myself that I'd wasted £8 on a wine aperitif no one was ever going to drink. Now, my favourite way of enjoying gin, especially a very good quality one, like this amazing Canadian one that I've been given that tastes like angel's tears, is just with a splash of soda water and a wedge of lime. So we bid farewell to old London town and her gin-soaked past. Join us next time when we head to Cheddar and I discover whether it really is possible to eat too much cheese. Until then, remember, there's nothing quite as satisfying as eating local food.